With regard to Fordo in particular, we know that the facility was attacked with what we call bunker busters, massive ordnance penetrators, so very large munitions that were carried by American planes. Again, the extent of the damage not entirely clear. The facility is or has been a critical one for Iran's nuclear program, because it's deeply buried. It's an important enrichment facility. That's where Iran has been enriching to 60% enriched uranium, which is not quite weapons grade, but it's getting close. They were doing it there with 20% feed, which allows for more efficient enrichment. So again, hard to say what the extent of the damage is. Folks have seen the satellite images of what looked to be the impact points, but that doesn't tell us much in terms of what's actually happening inside the facility. We don't know the layout of the facility. We don't know what damage has actually been caused by the impact, let alone any secondary implications or damage to the facility. The Iranian nuclear program, as you say, has been under IAEA safeguards. Iran has a comprehensive safeguards agreement with the agency, which has allowed the agency to monitor the production of fissile material inside of Iran. Now, over the last few years, Iran has decreased the amount of access that it has given to the agency. So even before the strikes over the last week, the agency rather had less access to the program than it had in previous years. The access was being decreased, but again, the access was still there. The agency had a fairly good sense of where the material was, how much of it there was, in what form it was in. My concern, I think the concern of a lot of non-proliferation analysts, is that in light of the last week, that the lesson that the Iranians will take is that less transparency rather than more transparency is the way to go on its program, that it further decreases IAEA access to its facilities. So it might further restrict access to agency inspectors. However, the big concern is that Iran might pull out of the non-proliferation treaty altogether, and then we'd lose most likely all access and all visibility of the program. I think the important thing to keep in mind is that it's possible to degrade the program to varying degrees, depending on how many strikes the Americans are willing to carry out and against which facilities, or the Israelis. However, we're not talking about the full elimination of the program. I don't see that being feasible using just military means. The program is not only dispersed physically, and there might yet be facilities that, at least publicly, we're not aware of, but also just on a more basic level, there is a lot of latent expertise in the country. This is a program that's been operating for decades. So there's a lot of indigenous expertise. So if the Iranians chose to rebuild whatever capacity has been damaged, the expertise is most likely still there to be able to do that.